Welcome to a guide to the beautiful, stunning city of Rome. Over the next few minutes, we're going to give you detailed instructions as to how you can get a flavour of the majority of the key sites under your own steam in just a few hours.
Many of you watching will be looking for advice as to how to do this if you're visiting on a cruise ship via the port of Civitavecchia, and we will offer you detailed instructions that will get you from your ship into Rome and back again, all in the few hours that you're docked.
If you aren't on a cruise and just want the tour, then now is a good time to use the chapter marker on the timeline below to skip to the section marked Start of Tour.
Now, if you're visiting Rome on a cruise ship port stop, then we think there are 6 key things that you might find especially useful to know right from the start.
We suggest that the train is the quickest, most cost-effective and reliable method of travelling the 38 miles or 60 kilometres to Rome from Civitavecchia.
Cruise ships dock about 2 miles or 3 kilometres from the railway station. We'll cover how to transfer between the two in a moment. Trains from Civitavecchia serve several Rome stations, and selecting the right one to get off at is important. We will go through this.
The journey takes between 40 and 80 minutes depending on how many stops your train makes and which station you get off at. Train tickets start from €9.20 return, but just buying a return train ticket from Trenitalia might not be your best option. We'll reveal why shortly.
Most ships visiting Civitavecchia stop for around 10 hours, typically from 7 in the morning till 5 in the evening or 8 until 6.
This sounds like a good length of time, but in reality, with the travelling into and out of Rome, we'd advise you to be organised and above all, make the effort to get up early, be off your ship as soon as you can to make the most of your day.
Now at this point, it's probably worth mentioning that trains, when we made this video in April 2025, were timetabled to run into Rome at the time shown on the screen now. And as you can see, there is quite a variation in the time it takes to get to San Pietro station, depending on which train you catch. If you dock at 0700, then it's quite feasible to catch this 7:44 train.
Most cruise ships dock along this area here. A few dock on the other side here. In either case, you can walk to the station in around 30 minutes. It's pretty straightforward and safe. However, given that time is of the essence, we'd suggest considering using one of the other paid-for options to get yourself to the station.
The two most convenient are to use the port to station shuttle bus, which takes about 7 minutes and costs €7 each way, payable by cash or credit card, or take one of the taxis which are likely to be waiting by the cruise terminal, and these will charge you €20 for 2 people or 30 for 4 people each way, but only take cash.
In our experience, whilst Uber and IT taxi apps in theory work in Civitavecchia, neither are reliable or much cheaper than the local taxi options.
Taxi and shuttle bus are relatively expensive, especially when you consider that your train fare for the 60 kilometres all the way to Rome is under €5. However, getting an earlier train might gain you up to an extra hour in Rome itself, so could be considered a good investment.
For completeness, you will see another set of buses waiting by the cruise terminal. These are provided by the Port Authority, are free and take you to a location called Largo Della, which is here. We generally don't recommend using these. Largo Della is only marginally closer to the railway station than the cruise terminals and overall is unlikely to save you any time.
So let's cover train tickets now. Most, but not all, of the trains serving Civitavecchia are regional trains for which reservations are neither required nor does advance booking make it cheaper. There are a small number of intercity and other longer distance trains which run from Civitavecchia to Rome. Without advance purchase, these trains are more expensive than regional services, and tickets for the two are not interchangeable.
These long distance express trains are very infrequent, and whilst they are quicker than regional trains, they only go to Roma Termini station, which, as you'll see in a second, is unlikely to be your best option.
Now, assuming that you are going to use one of the double-decker regional trains, then you have 2 choices of ticket. A straight return from Civitavecchia to any of the Rome stations cost a very reasonable €9.20 return.
These can be purchased from this ticket window here, from a machine here, or via the simple and easy to use Trenitalia app. This would be our recommendation. Install the app and register before you leave home.
If you buy a paper ticket from the machine, then it's important that you validate your ticket using one of these green machines before you board your train. If you fail to do so, then it's not valid and a ticket inspector will potentially fine you. Tickets bought on the app or at the ticket window don't need validation.
We would suggest that a better option for many people may be to purchase one of the integrated Lazio region transport tickets, which cover both the regional train service into Rome and bus, tram and metro services in Rome itself.
From Civitavecchia, you'll need the 5-zone version, which can be purchased from the tobacconist and cafe joining onto the station ticket office here. These tickets are known as BIRG tickets and cost €12, which includes your return regional train journey plus unlimited use of the metro, buses and trams. Now, if you do follow our tour, then we include 2 journeys on public transport whilst within Rome, and having the BIRG ticket makes life very easy. Note that, bizarrely, you cannot buy these tickets from Trenitalia and they are not currently available in electronic form.
One thing that's very important to note is that you must validate the ticket using one of these green machines. They are a bit temperamental. You need to align the ticket on the left side of the machine and wait for it to make a printing sound. You also need to write your name and date of birth on the front of the ticket here.
Trains to Rome typically go from one of the central platforms at Civitavecchia, so you'll need to cross the tracks via this underground subway.
So which Rome station to use?
You typically have a choice of 4. For our tour, we're going to get off the train at the first Rome station, Roma San Pietro. This is just 10 minutes walk from the Vatican. Other options are Roma Trastevere, Roma Ostiense and Roma Termini. Termini station is the furthest east and not the best option for many tourist sites.
Our tour will return from Roma Ostiense, which is closest to the Colosseum.
A seat on the upper deck of the train offers nice views of the coast, although don't expect to see Rome's prettiest parts on your train journey, these come later.
Hopefully you know enough now to get yourself into Rome. So, let's start our tour at Roma San Pietro station. We're going to visit 10 sites, walk around 6 kilometres and use a bus and a tram. This tour is designed to give a flavour for the sites and city and is completely free. You could spend a lot longer than we do at many of them and pay for entry. If you elect to do so, then you're unlikely to have time to do the full tour, as we've laid it out and you'll need to adapt to suit your needs.
Whatever you do decide, you'll find an internet connection on your mobile with Google Maps will be invaluable. Now, we use eSIMs and there's some information in the description if you need it.
First stop on the tour is St. Peter's Square, which is about 10 minutes away. If you skipped breakfast on the ship, then there are some nice looking cafes on the way, although we do schedule a pit stop in about 45 minutes. At this stage, we need to say that neither of us speak Italian. We'll do our best not to murder this beautiful language when we pronounce street names, but please forgive us if we get them a bit wrong. There will be the odd gap in the commentary. This is deliberate, and we'll fill them with some nice music.
Even at 9 AM, expect the square to be busy. This iconic location holds up to 80,000 people and is overlooked by St. Peter's Basilica, which was completed in 1626. After enjoying the ambience here, our next stop will be Castel Sant Angelo, which is just a further 10-minute stroll along Via della Conciliazione, with great opportunities to look back at the square and Vatican.
This road was built as recently as 1930 and is the main route connecting Vatican City to Rome. After about 300 metres, we make a right turn towards the River Tiber, then make a left onto the walkway along the river.
The Castel Sant Angelo was originally the tomb for the ashes of Emperor Hadrian, placed here in 138 AD. It was converted into a castle in the 14th century. It's in front of us, and we suggest walking along the river to the next pedestrian bridge, Pont Sant'Angelo. From here, you'll get great views of the castle, back to St. Peter's Basilica, and also along the Tiber.
We're heading to Piazza Navona now, and we cross the river Tiber via Pont St. Angelo. Cross this main road and take Via Panico, then a left into the picturesque Via de Coronari, which is lined with tourist shops and nice-looking cafes, where it might be time for a well-earned snack.
We really liked Casa and Bottega, about 5 minutes along on the left, but there are plenty of alternatives. We're en route to stop 3, Piazza Navona, which is about 10 minutes from crossing the river. It's worth looking left and right into some of the pretty side streets. At this busy junction you take a right and the Piazza Navona opens up before you with its sparkling fountains and tall obelisk. The first fountain is the Fountain of Neptune, dating from 1574, and then you'll see the Fountain of the Four Rivers, topped by this tall obelisk, completed in 1651.
Our next stop will be the iconic Pantheon, about 300 metres away. Exit Piazza Navona via this exit here to the east of the square, almost opposite the Fountain of Four Rivers, and cross the busy main road to join Via del Salvatore, which then becomes Via Giustiniani. Keep straight for less than 5 minutes and you will then make a right into Piazza della Rotonda, and the Pantheon will be in front of you.
The Pantheon, which has been in continuous use since its construction in 126 AD, was first a Roman temple and then, since 609 AD, a Catholic church. The dome is the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world and has been so for 2,000 years. This is a busy area and, like all of Rome, it's worth a quick reminder that pickpocketing and petty theft is rife here, so keep a close guard on things like your phone.
Next stop will be the Trevi Fountain, which will take 10 minutes or so to reach, and we exit the Pantheon along Via Seminario. This rather nondescript alley brings us first of all to the lovely Piazza di Sant'Ignazio, where you will get a good view of the church dating back to 1650. Exit the piazza via this northeastern corner, follow the narrow road round to the right, and then turn right onto Via Pietra. Cross Via del Corso and continue ahead until you reach the very busy Trevi Fountain area.
It's arguably the most famous fountain in the world and was completed in 1762. You're going to exit Piazza del Trevi via the northeastern corner, and when we were there, whilst the whole area was mobbed, this was the quietest part. The Spanish Steps, our next stop, are just over 10 minutes walk from here. Take Via della Stamperia, cross the main road, and take Via della Nazareno with McDonald's on your right.
Continue for just under 10 minutes and you'll come to Piazza del Spagna with the famous steps on your right. The Spanish Steps link Piazza del Spagna with Trinita dei Monti Church at the top. They are a very popular tourist destination, so much so that in 2019 the authorities introduced fines of between 250 and 400 euros for people who loiter on the steps or eat on them. At the top are some great views. We'd recommend crossing this road and continuing up further steps to enter the lovely church, which is free to enter. It was completed in 1585 and, as you can see, is well worth a few moments of your time.
Your next port of call is the Victor Emmanuel Monument, which is about 2 kilometres, a 30-minute walk away. Now this is where we elected to give our feet a bit of a rest and take a bus part of the way. If that's your intention too, then you'll need to walk about 600 metres to the bus stop. We'd suggest avoiding the crowds on the Spanish steps and descend via these ones to the side here. This brings you to Piazza del Spagna, and from there you partly retrace your steps back towards Trevi, but branch off right, then left, until you end up at Piazza di San Claudio, where you can catch the 51, 83, 85 or 160 buses to Piazza Venezia. The bus itself takes just 6 minutes and is covered by your BIRG ticket.
When you get off, you'll see two striking buildings, the Basilica di San Maria and the Victor Emmanuel Monument. We made the mistake of climbing these steps here first and visiting the Basilica. We'd suggest it would be better to take a left after crossing the road and walk round to the entrance of the monument first and visit that. It's mostly free and the entrance is on the right of the impressive steps. It was inaugurated in 1911 and is considered a national symbol of Italy. It's a very impressive building and in our opinion well worth the effort of climbing the numerous steps to see the views from the terraces.
The route around the building is circular, and when you descend again we'd suggest turning left, walking back along the front of the monument and then climbing more steps up to view the basilica. It's very pretty inside and free to enter. Once you complete your time inside, we'd advise using a door at the front right to exit. Descend these steps and make a right which will lead you to Piazza del Campidoglio, which for our visit was under renovation but should look a bit like this.
We're going to view the Roman Forum now, so retrace your steps along this route and pick up this road until you reach the viewpoint on the right. This gives a good overview over the western edge of the Roman Forum, which includes a good view of the Septimus Severus Arch. You might want to avoid the mistake which we made of assuming that this is the Arch of Constantine, because it isn't.
We'd suggest descending these steps and looking around this area. You then need to take this cobbled lane, keep right, take in further views of the Forum before turning right onto Via dei Fori Imperiali, which is the road that runs down the northern side of the Forum to the Colosseum. There are more chances to see the Forum from above during the 10-minute walk to the Colosseum. Completed in AD 80, at its peak it could hold up to 80,000 spectators. If you stay close to the Colosseum with it on your right, you end up at the eastern end here, which is as far as you can go for free. Climbing these steps here takes you up to the busy road. Take a right and the Arch of Constantine is ahead. This is the largest Roman triumphal arch, completed in 315 AD.
You will now have seen all of the landmarks on our tour. If you are returning to Civitavecchia, probably the best station to return from is Roma Ostiense, which can be reached by bus or tram. The number 3 tram, which runs roughly every 15 or 20 minutes, departs from here. If you prefer the bus, then the number 75 departs from either of these stops here every 15 minutes.
Both are covered by your BIRG ticket if you have one. You need to get off the tram or bus at the same place, Porta San Paolo, and then walk the 5 minutes or so down to Ostiense station. Just be aware that there are 2 stations close to each other. One is called Porta San Paolo, and you actually pass it on the way to Roma Ostiense. At Roma Ostiense station, you'll probably need to cross under the tracks again to one of the middle platforms. You don't need to validate your BIRG ticket again. During the day, trains back to Civitavecchia run just twice an hour. The times are on the screen now. These trains all start at Roma Termini and call at Roma Trastevere, Ostiense and San Pietro.
On arrival back at Civitavecchia, depending on how much time and energy you have, it's a pleasant walk back to your ship. Allow about 30 minutes. Alternatively, the buses back to the ships depart from the station concourse, as do taxis, which charge the same to go the other way.
We really hope that you found this guide useful. If you have, then please consider liking the video and subscribing so that you can be notified about the release of our upcoming video guides to Barcelona, Naples and La Spezia port stops.
Thanks for watching and goodbye.